अस्सलाम वालेकुम। डॉक्टर गुलाम मुश्तबा अपने नाजरीन को वेलकम करता है। आज की ताज़ा तरीन सूरत हाल ये है कि ईरान और अमेरिका की डील न्यूक्लियर एग्रीमेंट पे बड़ी तेज़ी से आगे बढ़ रही है। इसके अंदर बड़ी पेशरफ्त हुई है और ये बात समझने की ज़रूरत है कि ईरान ट्रंप को ट्रिलियन डॉलर्स की अपॉर्चुनिटी प्रोवाइड कर रहा है ईरानियन बिजनेसेस के अंदर। और ईरान के वज़ीर ख़ारजा ने ये कहा है और वाज़ेह तौर पे ये पैगाम दिया है कि अमेरिका के लिए अमेरिकन इकोनॉमिक प्रॉस्पेरिटी एज अपोज टू लॉसेस ड्यू टू बूट्स ऑन ग्राउंड, losses of soldiers and uniformed personnel is not what President Trump is looking forward. President Trump is a deal maker in chief and he wants economic growth and see prosperity for America. And he clearly has a vision to make America great again. But Iran is opening doors for U.S. businesses and U.S. investments and Iranian investments in the U.S. This opportunity and these doors will be supportive of investment over $1 trillion for the U.S. It's not only going to make America great again, it will make America rich again. This is something that is greatly of temptation for President Trump, who is working hard to improve the economic conditions of this country. Therefore, if there is a deal which is moving forward in the positive direction, it clearly looks that the deal will become a reality and the opportunity will be seized by the Trump administration. The Iranian government has made it very clear, as reported by CNN this morning, that the perceptions in the outside world, including the United States, is that Iran is a closed society and is not going to allow foreign businesses to get into the Iranian market, which is absolutely not true. And the doors have been opened for US businesses in Iran. Now, coming to the second part of the presentation tonight and my analysis. If that happens, which is likely to happen, that means US hegemony in the region will shift strongly towards South Asia, the region, Iran, and the Gulf states. Most of the Gulf states are very much aligned with the United States policies. It was only Iran that was supposed to be opposing the US policy in the region or challenging the US policy. If Iran becomes receptive to US policy, then the entire dynamics of the region is going to change. In reference to that, how would that affect Pakistan? As a Pakistani American, how do we visualize and what vision the Pakistan's leadership has in the changing environment and the global dynamics of politics? India has rightly seized the opportunity to switch over camps from Russia to the US. And now the Indian influence and the policies favoring India is increasing by the day as India is trying to create a balance of power with China in the region, and that serves US national security interest. With that, or having said that, it must be clear that Pakistan had been a close ally of the United States for years, and all of a sudden, after the end of Musharraf's regime, the civilian dynasties of the two families, in greed of money, corruption, and practices in wrongdoings, led to a point where Pakistan distanced itself from the US. Though I may have information beyond that and the reasons beyond that and the interest of the two families beyond that, yet it is not possible to express those things in an open media. It is wise and in the interest of Pakistan's oligarchy and Pakistan's military establishment that the rules of the game that has been set forth, which has damaged Pakistan's economy for years after Musharraf's regime. The debt during Musharraf's regime, external debt was $17 to $33 billion. And today, with these civilian governments of the two regimes taking turns one after the other, this merry-goes-round dynamics has put Pakistan in a volume of $131 billion of external debt and about $300 billion of domestic debt. Cumulatively, this has put a burden on Pakistan's economy of $431 billion. The trade has depleted, the earnings have declined, and the economy has plummeted. Yet there is no remorse on the part of civilian governments to deal with the crisis created by themselves. It has not been created by external factors. It is done from within the country through corruption. The military as an institution has had been the defenders of Pakistan for years. And all the military governments have produced positive results into Pakistan's economy and defense. Yet, they tried to support the civilian regimes through democratic means to stand on their foots. That failed also. It is time now for Pakistan to rethink on two fundamental areas. One, how would you switch back into a growing economy of the United States and take the help of the US in improving the economic conditions of this country, Pakistan? The only way of doing that is not through duffers, where a deputy prime minister comes into the country and he says that he was invited in the US on the invitation of the Chinese. Why the Chinese didn't invite you to their country instead of inviting you to the US? Does that make a sense? No one amongst the US officials met with you. You are the second man in command in the government, the deputy prime minister of the country, and you held a press conference. And no one from the international press, no one from the US press had attended your press conference. Is not that you're belittling yourself, belittling the country, and damaging the interests of the country, detrimental to its diplomacy? You did that. When a man comes in who was a former foreign minister of Pakistan, chief of a political party, one of the major coalition government parties. Since he was invited by Trump for a breakfast meeting and could hardly show any picture with Trump or any of the administration officials' picture. Why was that? Is that the locus standing of the Pakistani current politicians in this country? Is that a matter of pride for people? Holding high offices in Pakistan, holding no locus standing in the United States? It is time for Pakistani leadership and Pakistani oligarchy to think about it. We feel ashamed. And why are the Pakistani Americans not getting involved into these things? Investors' conferences are held, and car wash workers are portrayed as investors from the US. What is going on? Was it an investors' conference or a political conference where slogans were raised, Zindabad and Murdabad? An investors' conference don't look like that. Where was Apple? Where was Google? Where was Amazon? Where was Microsoft? Did they participate in the investors' conference? No. Who participated? The beauty parlor worker, the car wash worker, and those who have been indicted under law, breaking the laws of the US, and had faced sentences in this country, have been portrayed as leaders of the Pakistani American community. Those who do not hold a PhD degree and call themselves as doctors, not allowed in the US regulations and educational system. What type of people were brought in to represent Pakistan and lead the case of Pakistan? Those who can hardly get even 2,000 votes in this country superseded those who received votes, thousands and thousands of votes in this country based on their local standing in the society. They were ignored. Who are the operators who are doing this thing? Who are the people who are operating Pakistan's policies? Is that helping the country? No. We believe in a prosperous Pakistan, Pakistani Americans. You want to see Pakistan grow in the League of Nations, lead the 57 Nation Organization of Islamic Conference. But this is not happening. These duffers have damaged diplomacy of Pakistan, and now Pakistan has been placed at the brink of war on the rhetoric of Narendra Modi. The man who was involved in the genocide of the Muslims in Gujarat has been alleged to be involved in that. Has a biased mindset against minorities of the country. Believes in radicalism and extremism of the RSS and the Hindutva party. It's an internal issue of India. We don't want to get into that. We love our fellow citizens of India. We have had been together for thousands of years. We have common culture and tradition. But Pakistan was formed not to create hatred and violence. Pakistan was created to keep the liberty, freedom for the minorities of India to perform their rituals with freedom and liberty. That does not mean that Pakistan was restricted for other minorities Pakistan was always open for freedom of rituals to all communities, including Jewish, Christians, Hindus, and Sikhs and Parsis. Pakistan failed at the diplomatic forum to plead its case against the genocide of Muslims in Gujarat, could not portray Modi's mindset of radicalism and extremism in India. And what happened with the Sikh leader in Canada, Harjit Singh? Who killed him? What is the report of intelligence from Canadian police? Pakistan failed to portray those images at international level. Yet, India successfully won the diplomatic battle. Where are those Pakistani diplomats who show their pictures with congressmen walking on the street and taking pictures and showing to the government their performance? Where is that performance in reality? Where is that performance at international forums? Where is that performance in the United Nations? When Article 370 was revoked by the Indian government, violently violating the international laws and the resolution of the United Nations of 1948, giving right of self-determination to the people of Kashmir. Is there any diplomat who has an interest with Pakistan or just enjoying the great 22 perks and privileges and showing the strength of the political offices and the diplomatic offices and the public offices before the poor masses of Pakistan? The incompetent lot has been brought on top and the competent have been placed on the back burner. Is that going to help Pakistan? We as Pakistani Americans take a strong exception to what is happening in Pakistan. At this point, when war, mongering, and the threat of war is getting closer, I want Pakistan to mend its fences with the United States and recognize the reality that this is an American century. And in order to be placed on top, to play your due role at the global politics and diplomacy, Pakistan should be in good terms with the US. Get a lesson from India and get a lesson from Iran. This is the way how diplomacy is run. Having said that, let us come to the war front. The threat of war. My message to Prime Minister Modi. Pakistani Americans are not against our Indian brothers and sisters. Pakistanis have love for the people of India. We have divided families, including myself. My first cousins are Indian citizens. They are in India. And there are number of people like me who have divided families between the two countries after partition in 1947. But that does not make us anti-Indians or against the Indian communities. No. We want to build up strong communities between Pakistan and India. However, our principal stance of peace should be promoted. Any war in India and Pakistan is not going to help either nation. Pakistan has 75 nuclear bombs, and India has 60 or 70, lesser than Pakistan. The striking capacity of one bomb by India and Pakistan is about 50 kilotons, which is 10 times more than the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs. If that has produced the results disastrous to the environment for years and years, then this 10 times more potent bomb, one can imagine what the results will be. And once a war starts and it sparks up, there is no one to control that. You don't know the end of a war. Wars are never won by any party. It has to win the hearts and minds of people. To win hearts and minds of people, it is not war that should initiate. We should not become, the Pakistanis should understand that they should not become tools for China. If there is a war between India and Pakistan, certainly India will be injured. Who is injured more? Time will decide. It's not to be decided over debates. However, that injury will make India a lesser strength and power than what it is now. And to challenge China at that time, with losing that power, it benefits China. Do not become tools into the hands of China. This is my message to the oligarchy of India and to the oligarchy of Pakistan equally. And it is an American interest, as a Pakistani American, we understand this is the national security interest of the United States to keep a balance of power in the region between India and China. And that balance of power will be disbalanced if there is a war. I would suggest that both leaders from Pakistan, which means the Pakistan's military establishment, which is in control, in de facto control of the situation in Pakistan, and Modi's government in India, should come to senses and avoid any war between the two nations. The rhetoric of Islam or Hinduism or Christianity should not work. We should be sane, should uphold wisdom, and should have a vision as to where we are moving forward. With that note, I believe sense prevails in the region and war is averted. If that happens, we have a big room to play to bring the nations together. We are not against China either. We are not against India, of course. We want to play our due role as a Pakistani American community to build up the region and do whatever we can do to contribute to the well-being of the people. Peace and only peace can help the League of Nations. With that message, till next discussion, Allah Hafiz. Thank you.